So you are going to get stencils to help you with your castle. Each table will get a little baggie. Inside this baggie, you are going to have stencils to draw towers and stencils to help you with the opening gate part of your castle. So some of these, like this is a pointed top, some are just rounded. It doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to do this one because it's right here. And I'm going to set it about right here on my paper. You don't want it too high because then you're going to have no space to draw your castle. You don't want it too low because then you're not going to have any room to put anything in front of your castle. So you want it right here, right about here. And then you're going to take a pencil and you're going to trace. And this gives you a starting point. And once you're done with that, you can put it back in the bag. And then you're going to take a tower stencil. In every entryway to a castle, you have 2 towers on either side. So you must, absolutely must, put a tower on the left and on the right. If you do not want to use these tower stencils and you want to make your own towers, maybe you want your towers to be thicker, that is fine. This is just there to help you if you need it. So there's 2 towers. Okay, now the curtain wall is the wall that goes all the way around the castle. We aren't going to have space to draw an entire curtain wall. So all you need to do is draw a wall going off the edge of your paper. And then add those battlements. Those are these guys. And you probably would want to put some right above your entryway as well. Okay? Now here, so this is our curtain wall. This is the front. Now we have to make the keep. That's the large part of the castle where the king stays. So you can use a ruler if you want some help. This is your design. You get to design this how you want it. You can keep it simple, you can make it more elaborate. So I'm going to maybe I'll make a tall, skinny kind of keep. And I'll put some battlements up here as well. And then you have to think about all those pieces of architecture we talked about. So we already have towers. We could put a turret. So for a turret, all I would do is I would draw a diagonal line coming out from the side because those just hang off the side. And then I would use my stencil, but I would only use part of it. And I would have it come out like that. You can make another one, maybe that comes over here. And maybe this one's a little taller. Comes out like that. Okay, and then you can make more walls if you want to. This is all your design. So after you've designed the basic part of the castle, then you can go back and add windows. You can add arrow slits. You can put little caps on your towers if you want to. This is all we're going to do. The first step is draw the basic part of the castle. Please do not draw a moat today. Do not draw anything down here. Do not draw anything back here. Just focus on the castle. So the one thing we did not do was that portcullis. So the portcullis is a little tricky. So I'm going to zoom in. And that's that gate that shuts. So I'm going to draw a line that goes down, and then I'm going to make it pointed, and then I go back up. I do another one. And your portcullis could be all the way down if it's shut, or it can be up if it's like more of a happy time in the kingdom. You're deciding. So these are the bars going down, and then I need bars going across, so all I would do, skip, 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 skip. Just like that. Okay? If you want to put flags, you can put flags. If you want to put like a banner hanging with like your initial on it or something, you could do that. Please do not draw any stone today or anything like that. No textures on it. We're going to do all that next time. Just get this much done. Your basic castle. That's it. So we are going to create the drawbridge. And the first thing I like to do is I like to make little dots on either side of my gate opening here around the portcullis. So I'm just going to make 2 tiny dots on either side right there. And you guys can do this with me. That's just for me to know where to place things coming up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to start right here in the corner. And you don't want the ruler to go straight down. That's not going to make sense. We want it to kind of come at a diagonal a little bit. And I'm going to draw, you can just watch me and then you can go do it. Going to draw a little diagonal line coming out. And then I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side, but this time your diagonal is going the other way, like that. So we have diagonal lines going like this, and you guys can do that much. And I'm going to draw a straight line right here. You can use your ruler to help guide you with that. And then down here at the end of your diagonal line, can you draw just a tiny vertical line? Vertical on either side. And you'll see what that does here in a sec. So now I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to connect the very bottom here. And I'm going to connect where that vertical line started. So this gives it an edge, so it looks three-dimensional here. And now I'm going back to these dots. So I made these 2 dots, and I'm going to make 2 more dots right here and right here. This part is tricky for a lot of people. This is why I put the dots there, and all we do is connect the dots with our rulers. That's it. Some people overthink this. They make it more complicated than it is. So if you watch me, here's my first dot. Here's my second dot. I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm just going to connect those. So you might not even see much. This one I could see a little more. So this would be like the rope that would pull your drawbridge up. Yours might look a little more clear than mine does. Mine doesn't look that clear, but you get the idea. And then we're going to add the texture. So drawbridges are usually made of really thick wood. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to follow this diagonal line with my ruler. And I'm going to make a line. And then I'm going to kind of bring it in, and it's going to start to get a little more vertical. In the center, it should be totally vertical. And then we start going to the other diagonal. So these would be planks of wood, and if you want to draw like where those planks might be separated, you can draw that with a horizontal line, just like that. So that is how you create a drawbridge.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my foreground, middle ground, background. My middle ground is already here. The middle ground is the castle. We got that. So I need stuff in the front. And I want to think about overlapping, and I want to think about change of size. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a really big tree. And I'm going to overlap it. And I'm doing kind of Christmas tree style, but you can do whatever kind of tree you want. Okay, so after I draw that, it doesn't make sense to have this line here anymore because the tree's in front of it, so I erase. So I overlap this tree. Now I want to put another tree over here. But since it's further back in space, it's going to be smaller. Change of size. And then you erase what's inside because it doesn't make sense if that tree is see-through. And you can add your foreground now. So I'm going to do just plain bushes, very simple. I'm going to add like a little patch of grass right here. And then right here will be my moat. And I'm just going to draw wavy lines to show that it is water. I've had kiddos draw like alligators in their moat. I've had kids draw mermaids in their moat. If you want to do something creative in the moat, I'm fine with that. So I have a foreground. Here's the front. My middle ground is my castle. We are not going to be able to see the horizon line because we use so much of our paper for a castle. So to create the background, I want you to put like hills or something behind the castle. So I'm going to, or mountains, you can do pointy tops. I'm going to just draw really quickly some hills. And if you want to put clouds or rainbow, whatever you want to do up in that sky. Please no corner suns. That's like kindergarten stuff. And you could overlap here. So foreground, middle ground, background. And now I'm going to do the textures. So I need 3 invented, 2 simulated. So here's the texture sheet. These are simulated. They look real. So you could do stone, brick, the big kind of stone. This is kind of like wood. So I'm going to pick spots. And I'm going to make 2 invented or 2 simulated textures. So I'm going to do the big stone right here. Okay? And then I get one more spot. Maybe I will do it here in the towers. I'll do like those pebble kind of stone. So this is simulated, it looks real. 3 invented. So invented, these are just some options. Invented can be anything you want because it comes from your imagination. So I can pick just the towers and maybe draw some cool spiral lines. There's 1. If I want to repeat it, that is still only 1. Okay, if I want to do, let's see here, what do I have? Maybe I want to do like a curved line texture here. This would be invented, so I need 1 more spot for invented, and I think I'll do it in this tower right here, and I will do kind of polka dots, but I'll change their size. So I have hit all the requirements Foreground, middle ground, background. 3 invented textures. 1, 2, 3. 2 simulated. 1, 2. Once you have all of that complete, then you outline everything with a Sharpie. So here's a castle drawing that I already began painting, and you can see a flat wash on this tower, and you can see a gradient wash on this tower. So I went dark to light. So I'm going to demonstrate on these 2 towers, again, how I would do that. I will start with the flat wash. And I'm using a pretty tiny paintbrush just because I want to make sure I get to stay in these shapes, because with watercolor paint, if you have too much water, it's going to want to start to spread, and it might spread into a shape you didn't want it to spread in. So I'm controlling it with a small brush. All right. So to do a flat wash, you're going to pick your color, and I think I'm just going to stay with this purple, violet kind of color. And I'll do it on this side this time. Oh, this is more of a blue violet. So I paint, and the goal is you want it to be the same color all the way down. That's why it's called flat. So you have to control the amount of water versus the amount of paint. And what I like to do, because you can kind of tell this is darker, right, than this. So I like to go back and make it spread evenly to make sure it's flat. So sometimes I have to go all the way back to the top, come all the way back down, make sure it's the same color. And what a lot of people do is they'll paint a little bit, and then they'll kind of tilt their paper, and they'll just drag it down, because gravity is making that paint fall. And so that's a good thing when you do a flat wash, because you want it to all fall within the same color. So that's a little too dark. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to spread it out and make sure it's all flat. So flat wash, it seems easy to paint it all the same exact color top to bottom, but it is a little bit of a challenge, because each time you put your paintbrush into the water and paint, the amount of water changes, the amount of paint changes, so it's going to look different. So you want it flat, flat, flat. Now I'll do a gradient over here. So I'll start with just a little bit of water on my brush and more paint. So I'm starting very dark. And I'm going to come down to about here. And then what I do is I just take some of the paint off my brush. So I put it in the water, gets rid of some of the paint, and then it'll start to get lighter because I don't have as much of that purple paint on my brush. And so your goal is you want dark to light. Now you can start your dark at the bottom and go up and get to light. It doesn't really matter. So that's the difference between a flat wash and a gradient wash. Okay, so here I am just a little further along. I do want to show you some more examples of what it can look like when it's finished. So I make quite a few of these just to give you some options of design and what the painting will look like all complete. They are very, very beautiful drawings and paintings, and I'm excited to see them all complete.